So the politicians came out and they did a good job. Nikki Haley did a good job. And one of the themes of the first day was countering this constant barrage of you're racist, you're racist, you're racist. So Nikki Haley said America is not racist, cut 15.
In much of the Democratic Party, it's now fashionable to say that America is racist. That is a lie. America is not a racist country. This is personal for me. I am the proud daughter of Indian immigrants. They came to America and settled in a small southern town. My father wore a turban. My mother wore a sari. I was a brown girl in a black and white world. We faced discrimination and hardship, but my parents never gave in to grievance and hate.
You know, she was immediately brought on by George Stephanopoulos, the man who helped silence women abused by Bill Clinton, and on the network that helped silence the Jeffrey Epstein story while Hillary Clinton was running, just so you remember. And, you know, Stephanopoulos says, what have you people done to, what has Trump done to get rid of the hatred that we've spread by misquoting him? And, she pointed out that he's created the lowest unemployment for African Americans and Hispanics. And she said that didn't happen under Obama Biden. It happened under him. More funding for historically black colleges, criminal justice reform, all these things that he has actually done while the press has taken the fact that he is a loudmouth guy and taken everything out of context. Tim Scott, also excellent speech. These were the two best of the politicians of the pros in the lineup. He talked about his own personal journey. His family's journey is cut 18.
My grandfather's 99th birthday would have been tomorrow. Growing up, he had to cross the street if a white person was coming. He suffered the indignity of being forced out of school as a third grader to pick cotton, and he never learned to read or write. Yet, he lived long enough to see his grandson become the first African American to be elected to both the United States House and the United States Senate in the history of this country. Our family went from cotton to Congress in one lifetime. And that's why I believe the next American century can be better than the last.
That is a different message than Kamala Harris, who has the same story to tell and has told the same story and is now a vice presidential candidate in this country. The same story to tell, but it believes that the country is inherently racist all the same. What they are saying, what the Republicans are saying is that, nobody denies that racism exists. Nobody denies the history of racism specifically in this country, though because this country is more multi-ethnic than other countries, it's going to have more problems. And there was, of course, the Democrat Jim Crow laws that the Democrats kept fighting for all those years because the Democrats lost their slaves in the war against the Republicans called the Civil War, that the country still, we live in time, the country moves forward into its ideals and has moved forward dramatically in Tim Scott's lifetime, in my lifetime, certainly. And this is an important thing. And then there's the personal thing about Donald Trump himself. It's really interesting to me that even John Bolton, who did everything he can to discredit Donald Trump, who obviously hated Donald Trump, when asked if Trump was a bigot, said, no, he's not. I never saw that. Herschel Walker, football player, friend of Trump's, he says the same thing. This is cut number 10.
It hurt my soul to hear the terrible names that people call Donald. The worst one is racist. I take it as a personal insult that people would think I've had a 37-year friendship with a racist. People who think that don't know what they're talking about. Growing up in the Deep South, I've seen racism up close. I know what it is, and it isn't Donald Trump.
This is important. Donald Trump has been a guy who's been awarded prizes from the NAACP. He's been friends with all of the civil rights workers, even some that I don't like. He's been friends with Jesse Jackson and things like that. The guy clearly is not on a racist agenda. It's obvious that he's not. He's obviously racially insensitive, which personally, I wish we could bring back a little racial insensitivity. Being absolutely honest about this, I think that we should tease each other. I think that we should say things to each other, make jokes about each other. I think that alleviates tensions. It doesn't. It adds to tensions to cut off the natural interchange of people, especially among men. I'll just say that, especially among men. I think men have a tendency to tease each other, to insult each other, to make jokes about things that they're not supposed to make jokes about. I think that silencing that, making sure you get fired for that, actually makes things worse. Are you supposed to like a guy when you're not allowed to kid around with him? Are you supposed to like a guy when you can't hit him, insult him like you insult all your other friends? If I insult Knowles, but I can't insult Black Knowles, does that make me more friendly with Black Knowles? No. Obviously it doesn't. Obviously those insults are ways that men talk. So I'd like to see more racial insensitivity. And Trump exemplifies that. He exemplifies a guy who's trying to fix things. Trump is just a fixer. That's all the only way he sees himself. And does that sometimes create problems with the way he talks? Yes, it does. Does it sometimes create problems in his personality, which can be unkind to people who insult him? I think it does. I think those are problems. But to call him racist is just unfair. But they have to. This is their thing. The fact that Democrats have not done anything for Black people, the fact that I think Black people in this country are suffering from Democrat problems, are suffering from Democrat so-called sensitivity, that all of Democrat programs serve white people. They serve white people's guilt, but they don't serve Black people. They have to cover this up. So, of course, the press is there. CNN immediately attacks having, people like Nikki Haley, of Indian descent, Tim Scott, Herschel Walker. They immediately attack this as tokenism. Here's CNN cut 2.
I think Tim Scott and Nikki Haley are there to say, listen, maybe Donald Trump isn't as racist as you think he is, or as racist as he often sounds, because here is Tim Scott praising him, here is Nikki Haley praising him, and there are a number of other African Americans woven throughout tonight.
How much do you think of some of this tonight was sort of giving permission to more moderate white voters that, it's okay for you to vote for Donald Trump despite his rhetoric on some of hhis racist rhetoric?
That's amazing stuff. Look, it's CNN. We know what they are. They're just the DNC spokespeople. But still, CNN literally broke in to fact check Trump in the middle of the convention. They thought, how honest is that? But they didn't break in on Obama when he mischaracterized the Constitution, saying it was all about democracy, when he said that, the rioters were still burning down Kenosha, Wisconsin. They're kind of the absolute fulfillment of the founders' dreams, which was a lie. They didn't break in on that. They didn't break in when Michelle Obama said Republicans put children in cages when those cages were built by her husband's administration, and people were kept in them as well during that. They didn't break in on Biden saying Trump said that good people were on both sides, because they've been spreading that lie since the beginning. But what does it say, just for a minute, what does it say about you? And this is another part of the Republican and especially the Trump-publican agenda, that Trump is for the ordinary guy. This has been, they call it populism, but populism is a kind of weird thing, because populism can be just demagoguery, and I don't think that's what this is. It's a real feel for ordinary people. And so all the pundits were impressed with Tim Scott and Nikki Haley because they're politicians, but really a lot of this is about ordinary people and ordinary people's lives. What does it say that CNN broke in on the story as it's unfolding? Because the story is the RNC convention, just like last week it was the DNC convention. You never heard me complain that they covered 90% of the DNC convention without breaking in. I didn't complain about that. I complained about their rapturous praise, but still, what does it say about their attitude toward you? And I think this is the thing about the Democrats and about the left. They have to break in because they can't let you see for yourself. You can't make up your own mind. You have to be guided by them. And isn't that what the left is saying all the way down? You can't spend your own money. You can't be trusted to build your own business. You can't be trusted to think your own thoughts. They've got to do it for you.